BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hello, I'm George O'Neill and this is the Scottish Football Podcast. All the news, views and analysis you need on Monday the 21st of April. And we now know who's going to be in the Scottish Cup final.
This with Alistair Johnston's a good ball and Jota meets it in the back post. And Celtic's fifth goal arrives.
The sun shone on Celtic as they trounced St Johnstone on Sunday. And there was late drama in Saturday's semi-final.
McGrath, right-hand side of the box, low ball in. Oh, it's a brilliant save, it's into the net! Dabag looks at the linesman, the flag stays down, and Dabag might well have won it for Aberdeen!
O'Day Dabag's last gasp goal sends Aberdeen through. And in the Championship,
there is still a Championship race on our hands, and there's definitely a playoff race on our hands. It's Falkirk 1, Wraith Rovers 3.
Falkirk have to wait another week to be crowned champions.
The Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Sports Scotland.
I'm delighted to be joined this morning by Cammy Bell, former Scotland goalkeeper, and Scott McDermott, the Sunday Mail's chief football writer. Gents, how are we?
Good, George.
Yeah, all good, George, yeah?
Yeah, very well, thank you. I think we'll dive straight into Sunday's game and the happenings at Hampden in the second semi-final. We're talking sort of in the immediate aftermath of Celtic trouncing St Johnstone and really cruising their way to another cup final. It was a pretty not even opening, but St Johnstone were very much in the game for the opening half hour there. And then just that spell before half time where Celtic blast in 4 goals and go through the gears. It was pretty impressive stuff, wasn't it, Cammy?
Yeah, it was. Listen, I think the first goal, Callum McGregor's goal, as soon as they managed to get that breakthrough, got the first goal, and then the Maeda goal straight after it on 37 minutes just made a huge difference, because I think when you go 2-0 down against Celtic, especially in a semi-final, you know you're up against it. And then they just cruised on from there to go 4-0 up at half-time, really in top control of the game. So yeah, they were very impressive today. They got the job done, and they'll be delighted just to be in another final.
And a team like Celtic, you'll have been in teams where you get on top. Celtic seem to do it better than any team in Scotland. When they smell blood, they kill teams, don't they?
Absolutely, and again, they've done that today. I think they had to be patient in the first sort of half an hour of the game. They were well dominant of the ball and created a number of opportunities, but it almost looked like St Johnstone were relatively comfortable in that first 30 minutes and having to defend. It looked like they had a decent shape. But once Celtic get that goal, as you say, they smell blood. They know getting that second one's also important. And they've done that so quickly as well. And it just, for me, that second goal just kills all momentum for St Johnstone. And it's such an uphill battle when you go 2-0 down. So yeah, I think them 2 goals early on were so important for Celtic, and they just went about their business brilliantly after that and completely controlled the game and enjoyed the day as well.
Yeah, Cammy touched on Callum McGregor's influence on that first half and the game as a whole. Scott, you'll have covered a lot of Callum McGregor's career and seen how he's developed into the leader that he is. Just how influential is he, and how impressed were you by his performance today?
He's a massive influence, George. I mean, having watched Celtic the last few years, I mean, I think you've learned that to get anything off Celtic, or if you've got any chance of beating them, you need to stop Callum McGregor playing. And I was saying to the boys kind of off air, I just think even when the teams get announced and you saw the shape of the teams, the first 15-20 minutes, although St Johnstone did okay, Callum McGregor, to me, seemed to have a lot of space and a lot of time to play. And I think when you allow him that freedom, he's eventually going to hurt you. And of course, he gets the first goal, which is a great finish, and he also gets the assist for the second. And I just think you cannot underestimate how big an influence McGregor is on this Celtic team. I think the last I've seen Old Firm games recently where he's not been playing, and Celtic haven't looked the same team. And as much as it was only against St Johnstone today, with all due respect, you have to close him down and you have to stop him dictating the game. And I just think the shape and the kind of approach that St Johnstone took, they didn't really do anything to nullify Callum McGregor, and I think they paid the price for that, especially in the first half.
Celtic are kind of spoiled for choice with their midfield options, but alongside McGregor today, Reo Hatate really came to the fore. He's had a bit of an up and down season, I'd say, by his own very high standards. But Cammy, I think today we saw him at his creative best, didn't we?
Yeah, he was brilliant again today. There was a number of players, Celtic players, that were brilliant today. But again, he really stood out. Looked as if he was back to his old self and had that real bit of form today, and was a real threat the whole game. But I've got to touch on what Scotty just said about Callum McGregor. He's a phenomenal player, and he is such a big player for Celtic. As Scott said, when he doesn't play, they just don't tick the same. They don't tick the same. But just his penetrating passes forward, the ones that break the lines, he's got that in his locker. And I think Scott's absolutely bang on that St Johnstone just didn't nullify him, didn't get close enough to him to make it difficult. And if you allow a player with that quality, then he's going to hurt you, and he absolutely did today.
Yeah, Brendan Rodgers spoke post-match. I thought it was really interesting. He talked about how McGregor's almost a second coach for him on the pitch. How rare is that in professional football, Cammy, that you can turn to a player that sees things tactically that maybe others don't?
Yeah, I think that comes with experience as well. You can see he's a very influential player within the team. He's obviously the captain, but you can see he's a very, very knowledgeable person as well. So you can see he's always communicating with his teammates. He leads by example. I just think the number of games he's now got, the trophies that he's won, you've got to be a very clever top player to do all that. And Callum's got that in abundance. And listen, we just mentioned it there, how key he is for Celtic. And I think Brendan Rodgers knows that as well. He knows how big a player Callum McGregor is for Celtic. And he's been brilliant again this season.
I think Celtic have been lucky, George. Maybe lucky is the wrong word, but if you look at the kind of even the last decade, having a guy like Scott Brown as captain, and as that kind of midfield anchor and the leader and the orchestrator in the middle of the park. For him to leave Celtic and then Callum McGregor just to seamlessly step into that role, I mean, without wanting to deviate, you look at Rangers, who are obviously the main challengers. I think that's something they've really lacked in the last kind of 5 to 10 years. And McGregor's just been a phenomenon. And this season, we've spoke before on here about, obviously, the Player of the Year awards are coming up, and Daizen Maeda is going to be red hot favourite for every award. But Callum McGregor must be running them pretty close. Just now, I mean, there'll be one or two other players maybe in the mix, and I do think Maeda will probably walk away with most of them. But even though McGregor's missed a few games, I just think, even if you look at the goals he scored, as a number 6, as a defensive central midfielder, I think he scored 7 or 8 goals now from the edge of the box, outside the box. To have that, Celtic are strong already, but to have that from the number 6, the kind of sitting midfielder, just add something else to their armoury. And as I say, I expect Maeda will probably get most of the votes, but Callum McGregor will probably run him close.
And he's never lost a cup final, Callum McGregor. Now, I mean, the league's all but done. The League Cup's in the bag. Attention's now turned to what would be a third treble for Brendan Rodgers as Celtic manager. They've obviously got to get past Aberdeen, who won on Saturday, but where do you think that achievement, if they were to do it, would rank for Rodgers and for Celtic as a whole?
Listen, he's the first Celtic manager to go and win 3 trebles if it happens. So, I mean, Brendan Rodgers was already up there, I think, with the likes of Jockstein, Martin O'Neill when it comes to trebles and certainly domestic success. To go and win 3 trebles and be the first guy to do it. When you think of it, especially when he came back to the club, there was a section of the Celtic support that were sceptical and a bit doubtful about coming back. They didn't forgive him for leaving in the way that he did the last time. But to come back and get that kind of record would be something else. And look, we're probably, over the next few months, we're probably going to talk about Brendan Rodgers' future a lot. He's going into his last season or potentially his last season as Celtic manager, the 3rd year of his current contract. But whatever happens, if he was to become the first Celtic manager ever to get 3 trebles, it would be an incredible achievement and an unbelievable legacy for him, no matter what happens the next couple of years.
Let's just touch on St Johnstone as well, because obviously it's a bitterly disappointing day for them, for their cup run to come to an end. But I think the wider context for them trying to stay in the league, obviously bottom of the Premiership, 5 massive games to go. Cammy, what do you think that sort of defeat will do for that dressing room, knowing that they have to come out and deliver multiple wins in their last 5 league games?
Yeah, listen, it's not ideal at all. Again, losing 5 goals. But again, I think when you reflect on it and you look where Celtic are and where St Johnstone are, that can happen to a number of teams in the top flight. It's not only St Johnstone that can lose 5 goals against Celtic when they're at their best. So yeah, I think it's one of them ones that the manager will just be saying, look, let's put that behind us now. We've got 5 huge cup finals almost coming up in these games in the league to try and keep their status in the top flight. So they need to dust themselves down. They need to start to find some sort of form, find a bit of form right at the right time. And they've got opportunities. Listen, they're going to have to start well. That's first and foremost. They're going to have to get a result in their first game to give themselves a chance. But yeah, I just feel as if today the manager will be saying, look, it was a huge task ahead of them playing Celtic in a semi-final. They'll be disappointed that they've lost 5 goals. But they've just got to put that behind themselves and prepare for trying to stay in the league.
Cammy, were you surprised that Mackenzie Cup didn't start today?
Very surprised. I think he's a brilliant player. He's got quality. He's a real threat. He's an outball as well. So yeah, I was very surprised at that selection today, Scott.
Yeah, he came on and obviously made a big difference. And at that stage, the game's gone. But I would just amazed. I mean, I've not seen a great deal of St Johnstone this season, but the games that I have seen, he's the one guy that's really been a threat, and as you say, has been an outball for them. Has offered them something different to the other attacking players they've got, and to get into a semi-final, which is difficult enough against Celtic at Hampden, to leave him on the bench and then to bring him on. He obviously scores a brilliant goal, which I think, by the way, was harshly ruled out. I don't know. I think Simo Valakari will look back and think he maybe got his tactics and his team selection wrong on the day. And listen, it might not have mattered what he picked, because Celtic, especially when they're in that kind of form, in the middle of the first half, before half time, maybe no team would have stopped them. But I think St Johnstone had to give themselves the best chance, and I just don't think the team selection or the tactics gave them that.
You touched on it there, but obviously Mackenzie comes on, scores a magnificent goal. It's right under referee Callum Scott's nose, the incident that it gets disallowed for. Yes, there's 2 hands in Adam Ida's back, but I mean, to me, it's so soft.
It was just soft. I mean, you're totally right. I mean, the referee's looking straight at it and doesn't think it's a foul. I don't understand why, when he looks at it again on a screen, or when somebody in the VAR room tells him they think it's a foul, he changes his mind. I mean, I just don't get it. I mean, there's a bit of a shove on Adam Ida, but not enough, I don't think, to send him to the floor. And what a shame for Mackenzie Cup. I mean, I know that shouldn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but what a finish and what a goal. And it might not have changed the outcome of the game, but it'd have been a bit of at least a bit of a lift for St Johnstone at the start of the second half, and unfortunately they were denied that.
I think we'll turn our attentions to Saturday's semi-final now. There were no shortage of talking points from the first semi-final, as 9-man Hearts was taking themselves to penalties until right at the very end when Aberdeen snatch it. I think we'll start with the 2 red cards, shall we? Because I think that's what Hearts fans have been talking about, and we'll look back at that game on. The first one, Michael Steinwender. Is that a red for you, Scott?
I'll be honest, George. When I was sat at the game watching it, I mean, I'm sitting in the main stand working at the game, and I thought it was harsh initially, purely because I just thought Topi Keskinen had a long way to go before he got kind of eye to eye with Craig Gordon. But I must admit, I've watched it now loads of times on TV, and I think it's probably right. I mean, I think Keskinen, if you take into account the pace that he's got and the touch that he took, he probably is going in and goal. And Steinwender's so late. I mean, he's never going to get there. So, listen, Neil Critchley was raging about it after the game. And from a Hearts perspective, you can maybe understand it. They think they've got guys covering. There's a couple of defenders. I think Adam Forrester's maybe the next guy who's coming in to cover. But I think if you're really honest about it and you consider Keskinen's pace, he probably is going to get a goal scoring opportunity. So, as harsh as it might sound, I think it probably is a red card.
I think what's key in that incident there as well, and Scott said that was his touch, the direction of his touch and the way that it was taking him in towards goal, clean through on goal. And I think that's why, for me, it is a red card. I think, he's got a long way to go, but I do think he's bearing down on goals and it's denying a goal scoring opportunity. So, I think his touch was a brilliant touch as well to bring him in towards going directly down the middle of the goal. So, I think that played a key part in it as well.
I think the second one's probably the more contentious one, and obviously there's the element that VAR can't intervene for a second yellow. But another Cammy Devlin he's not looking at the man. The Aberdeen player just nips in front of him and he catches him. But I mean, it seems pretty harsh, for a second yellow card there from John.
Yeah, I thought it was a really harsh one. Again, as you say, his eyes on the ball. He's just trying to hook it on as it comes over him, and he does catch a player, yes. But I think this is where, for me, it's a bit of common sense. That's a free kick, and that's all it is for me. It's a free kick, and he's not trying to hurt a player. He's actually not seen the player. So a little bit of common sense in these situations, I think, should be taken into account. But I just felt as if it was a really, really harsh second yellow card, and as you say, then VAR can't intervene. So I thought it was a poor decision from the ref.
Cammy, I totally agree with you, and I think this is where refs let themselves down. I think you'll agree is just that lack of understanding of the player, of the circumstances, of the incident itself. I mean, Cammy Devlin, he's playing in a team that's down to 10 men. It's the last 5 minutes of a game. I mean, I felt sorry for Cammy Devlin because he played well in the game, and he's chasing and he's harassing, and he's trying to get his team a result, and he's a fraction late with that tackle. I think his eyes are on the ball, and he's going to clear the ball, and he's just a wee bit late. And I don't know. I just think the referee's got to show a wee bit more understanding of the player himself, the situation, the tackle, and I totally agree. I think it's a foul, but to give him another red card was pretty harsh.
We'll get on to Aberdeen. Obviously, they're the match winners, but just one final bit on Hearts. Neil Critchley's come in and obviously taken the team off the foot of the table, but he's not got them in the top 6. And I think the accusation that Hearts fans have had of him in his 6 months, Scott, is that he's not won a big game. So where do you think that leaves both him and Hearts going into another transfer window? Do they stick with him or do they look for change again?
I think they've got to stick with him, George. I understand where Hearts fans' frustrations are coming from. When Hearts went in that good wee run with Neil Critchley, I need to hold my hands up. I thought they would be the team that would really push on, and I thought they'd maybe end up getting third. The way they were going. And things just stalled for one reason or another. And obviously the season is finished on a really negative, really negative vibe for them. And he's obviously going to come under a bit of pressure. But I think he's only had one transfer window. I think you have to give him the summer. We all know they're going to be influenced now by Jamestown Analytics and by what Andrew McKinley said in the last few days. It looks as if their kind of transfer business has pretty much been sorted already for the summer. I think they've got 1 or 2 guys in already. There's a few more to come. I think you have to give Neil Critchley this summer window, which every manager will tell you is huge for them. And obviously the start of next season is going to be crucial. And it's interesting. I just think they're finished bottom 6. They're obviously devastated. There will be no European football. I just wonder, I don't know if Cammy would agree, but in terms of criticism, I just wonder deep down whether it might actually be a good thing, just having the full summer, no European qualifiers, nothing else to worry about other than getting his squad right and ready for the start of next season. And listen, as I say, I think he's under pressure, but not quite at the moment, because I think he's got to have a summer window to get his own, to get more players in, reshape the squad, and go again next season.
Cammy, can I ask you? He's been quite wedded to this diamond system in midfield. Do you see that working at all? And obviously, as Scott says, he's only had the one window. Do you think there's enough there to show that you stick with that system and you get players in to play that system?
I'm not a fan of the diamond, to be honest, again, formation-wise, but whether that's down to the players that he's got at his disposal at this moment in time, I don't think he's got these out-and-out wingers, and I think that's what they'll be looking to try and bring in the summer. I think next season's huge for him. If he gets, which I think he will get this summer, but he needs to start the season well. I think it was a sort of, when he came in as manager, it was a little bit of a strange choice. Not a lot of fans were really excited about it. And for me, he had to hit the ground running. He'd done that for a small period, but it's only slightly improved since Stephen Naismith's change of management. So I think he's under pressure, and he probably, as Scott said, probably will get to next season, but he needs to start the season well.
Right, we should rightly touch on Aberdeen. They're the team through to the final, return to Hampden. It was, what a moment, Scott, for Dabag, the match winner, from where he's come from, the journey he's been on. Just touch on that a bit, and sort of how it not peaked, but how it's kind of got him to that moment at Hampden.
Yeah, incredible. You look at his kind of personal journey, where he's come from, not to get to going to be the first Palestinian footballer to go and play in a Scottish Cup final for a start. In terms of Aberdeen in general, it's difficult because you're sitting at the game on Saturday, and they're playing against 10 men, and they were struggling. They were struggling to break Hearts down. They looked as if they were kind of running out of ideas. They were throwing players on off the bench. They were trying different things. They were trying to move Jensen from fullback into midfield and attack, just trying to somehow break them down. It didn't look as if it was going to happen, if I'm honest. But seeing semi-finals, George, Cammy will know, it doesn't matter how you win, you just need to go over the line. And Jimmy Tillene said afterwards, when he put Daba on, he said basically he's the type of player, even in training, that if there's ever tap-ins or scrambles around the box, he's normally the guy that's there to put them in, and that's how the goal came about. Hearts were a wee bit unlucky. The Devlin sending off obviously concedes a free kick. They're down to 9 men, and it was like a second phase of the free kick. You couldn't help feel they just didn't get themselves organised with 9 men to try and defend the set piece. And Aberdeen obviously get bodies into the box and get the goal. And what a moment for Daba and for Tillene. His first ever, it's going to be his first ever cup final as a manager. I think he lost 2 semis in Sweden. He lost the League Cup semi to Celtic this season here, 6-0, which was a sore one for him. So to get to a final, still challenging for third in the league, and it could still be a pretty special season for Aberdeen. There's a wee bit to go yet, but when you consider that middle spell, that horrendous middle spell where they just couldn't buy a win, when you think of where they might be in a few weeks, it could be an unbelievable season for them. So we'll just need to wait and see.
Yeah, and we'll finish on the Scottish Championship. There was I think Falkirk fans thought they might be going to have a title party on Saturday, and they're made to wait by a pretty dramatic finish against Wraith Rovers. 3 late goals for Rovers for Wraith. Falkirk would have obviously wanted to win the title in front of their own fans. Cammy, did you catch that game or the highlights? And were you surprised by Falkirk not getting over the line?
Yeah, it was a little bit. I expected them to basically win the game, certainly, on Saturday at their home turf. But again, I think when they go down to 10 men, it makes it a little bit difficult. But yeah, listen, the collapse in the last sort of 5 minutes, I think it was 88, 92 and 94. conceding goals. It's not like Falkirk to do that. But again, pressure's mounting. You need to get over the line, so it's always difficult to find that win. And Raith Rovers are scrambling for a place in that playoff as well. So they were really pushing for the result. They needed to win that game. So yeah, it's dragged on a little bit longer than the Falkirk fans would have wanted it to. But they've got another massive match on Friday night against Partick, who need to get points as well. So it's going to be an interesting finish.
Just shows you, Cammy, what pressure can do. I mean, you think John McGlynn is manager, loads of experience. Falkirk with the boys they've got, but when it goes one, I watched the highlights today. When it goes one each, they're down to 10 men. I mean, when the pressure's on, it's amazing the things that are happening in football. I mean, to lose 3 goals in that space of time, and to leave themselves now obviously 3 points clear, 2 games to go. It's just incredible. I mean, what a finish, and what a fixture it's going to be in Friday night at Firhill. Thistle still going for the playoffs. Falkirk trying to win a title. It's unbelievable.
That game live on the BBC, of course. Got to get that in. And down the bottom end of the Championship, the big news, the big talking point's been at Hamilton, obviously relegated after their result, after following the points deduction that they had. Scott, do you think, given everything that's gone on and the stories that's come out around the points deduction, how difficult will it be for them to bounce back and recover in League One next season?
Very difficult, George. I mean, listen, in all of this, the guy I feel most sorry for is John Rankin. I spoke to him not long after the points deduction was confirmed, and I mean, he was oblivious. I mean, it was totally unexpected. He's trying to set a team up and put a squad together to make sure that they stay in the division, and then they get hit with that sanction. Look, when you look at the charges, it doesn't look good. No, it feels like they won't have much scope for an appeal. Even that in itself, how is that appeal going to work? When you think of promotion and relegation, I mean, how quickly is that going to have to be dealt with by the SFA and the SPFL? It's a messy situation, but you're right. I mean, if Hamilton go down, who knows what the kind of financial implications of that will be, and to try and get back up immediately at a League One, which is, Cammy will know it's a difficult division to get back out of. As I say, especially when you might be up against it financially, I think it's an absolutely crushing blow for Hamilton. And as I say, if they don't win that appeal, it could be a long road back. And it's interesting to know how that's going to affect John Rankin, how it's going to affect some of the players. It's just it's not a good situation for them at all.
That's all we've got time for. Many thanks to Scott McDermott and Cammy Bell, and thank you all for listening. Remember, we're here with new episodes of the Scottish Football Podcast bright and early every day, so make sure you don't miss out, subscribe on BBC Sounds and get notifications ready on your phone. Until tomorrow, goodbye.
On BBC Sounds. From life aboard a Russian submarine to chairman of Hearts Football Club.
At this stage, he was the hero.
But as his controversial decisions escalated...
They said, we're going to sack George. And I'm going, you can't do this.
How did Vladimir Romanov go from Hearts saviour to a wanted man?
They caused a whole load of chaos and havoc.
Romanov, Tsar of Hearts. Listen now on BBC Sounds.